Hello everyone, I am Hana. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I want to share with you a little bit about the overall weather for 2026. So the forecast, the cosmic forecast. I'm not going to focus on very specific things. I want this to be a very overall big picture of the year, the themes, the potentials, the challenges, and I really want to make this very practical and very supportive to you. I want to give you very useful insights. I want to give you very grounded and useful information that can really help you navigate this year in a very conscious and empowered way with a lot of clarity, a lot of awareness, and a lot of alignment and trust in your path. So, one of the big questions that astrology really help us to understand, to answer is what time is it? In our sky, cosmically speaking, if 2026 was a time, what time would it be? What is this current that we are swimming in? Which means, what are the dominant themes? What are the invitations, the opportunities, the potentials, but also the challenges, the struggles, the risks? So it's very much like the weather, getting that weather forecast. The more we understand the conditions, the current conditions, the better we can dress up and gear up for what's to come, right? We can dress up more appropriately, more consciously, which means that we can make more conscious choices and navigate our lives with a lot more clarity. So the same way that when it's raining outside, you make sure to bring an umbrella, right? You put your raincoat on. Or when it's summer, when it's summertime and very hot and humid, you're not going to wear your winter coat, right? So it works very much like that. As in, the more we understand the cosmic weather, the better we can navigate our lives. So when we look at 2026 with this deeper understanding, the most important intention becomes truly alignment. Because if our universe, if our cosmos, if our solar system is conscious and intelligent, and if we understand what the messages are, if we understand the alignments, if we understand the intentions, then we can really work with life instead of resisting life, instead of pushing our way through life. And even if we look at that, like there are times where we need to push our way through life, where we need to, force things through and force the door open. But there's also times where we need to let the door open by itself and wait and be patient and, look for another door, maybe look for a window or another way out or in. So that's how astrology can be so helpful and in a very grounded, practical way. So today we're going to look at the big picture overview of 2026. And 2026 is a pretty monumental year. If you hear any astrologer talking about 2026, you're going to hear about how this is not a normal year. There's something quite special about 2026, and actually, there's something quite monumental about 2026. And the reason for that is that what is happening in our sky is actually very rare. We are witnessing in 2026 something that does not happen often at all, actually. So, in order to understand why it's so significant and why 2026 is so rare, I want to give you a little bit of astronomy here in planetary speed. So, just bear with me for a little bit. I'm going to make this really simple and really easy to understand. The planets that are far away from us, so far away from our sun, right? The sun is the center. So the planets that are far away from our sun and the earth, for example, Jupiter is far away, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're so far away from us, which means that it takes a long time for these planets to move through a sign. Just to give you an idea, Neptune takes about 14 years to move through one sign. Uranus takes 7 years to go through a sign. Pluto, which has just entered Aquarius not too long ago, last year, is going to remain in Aquarius. The whole cycle is 20 years. So it's going to stay in Aquarius until 2043. And because these planets move so slowly, they're in that sign for a long time. It's like the soup is really being cooked, you know? So that means that they correspond to major chapters in our lives and collective shifts, historical shifts. So when one of these planets change sign, it's not subtle. All the astrologers are like talking about it, right? Because it marks the beginning of a new cycle. It marks the beginning of a new era. But the really big deal, what makes 2026 such a big deal is that all of these planets, the great majority of these planets, the ones that are far away from us, are changing signs all at the same time. So we're having here this convergence of new cycles. So, just to give you even a little bit more specifics about this, Pluto, as I mentioned, has entered Aquarius not too long ago, and this is a 20-year cycle. And then just last month, Saturn moved from Pisces into Aries. Neptune also moved from Pisces into Aries. Neptune was in Aries for 14 years. The last 14 years, Neptune was in the sign of Pisces, and it's now in Aries. Brand new cycle here. Uranus very soon will move from Taurus into Gemini at the end of April. Uranus has been in Taurus for 7 years. And Jupiter at the end of June will move from Cancer into Leo, and that's a year cycle. So from June 2026 until July 2027, Jupiter is going to be in Leo. And then another planetary body called Chiron. Chiron is not a planet, but it's a very important planetary body, will also be entering a new sign, will also be entering the sign of Taurus, and it will be in Taurus for 7 years. So imagine this moment when so many long-term cycles, cycles that shape generations, are synchronizing in the same year. This is really showing not just change. Yes, it is about change, but it's really showing that this year is a collective turning point for all of us in our personal lives, but also, for humanity at large. So, this is really about a brand new chapter, again, personally and collectively. There's something quite exciting about this moment, even though when we look outside our windows, things are not looking pretty, right? But when we look at it from a deeper and higher perspective, this is really showing a new beginning. This is really showing a brand new chapter. And this is a fresh new beginning, and that momentum of something that's building here, something new that's trying to come into form. So it's a year of becoming, it's a year reinventing ourselves. It's very much that phrase that we all used on January 1st, right? New year, new me, new year, new you. And truly, new year, new us. And even if we think about the numerology of 2026, something quite interesting is that if we add the numbers, right? If we add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, we get 10, and we reduce that to 10, which reduces to, I'm sorry, we reduce 10 to 1, which is the number of beginnings, right? It's the first one. It's the beginning of a cycle. So this is exciting. This is fun. It brings fresh air, right? But at the same time, new beginnings can feel quite chaotic, right? Let's not glamorize new beginnings as something that is just all positive and easy. Because when something is new, it means that it's not fully formed yet. It's like we're stepping into a landscape that we've never been in before. You know you don't, it's easier to know where you don't belong and the things that you don't want to be doing anymore, you don't want to continue, but you don't know exactly yet what the new terrain will look like. So one way to understand this is very much through the metaphor of birth. Think about a baby being born. It's beautiful. It brings new life. It's a new cycle. It's a new chapter. It's a new potential, right? Unlimited, like infinite potentials, infinite possibilities for that new life that's just coming into the world and taking its first breath. But the birth itself is very intense, right? It involves pressure and effort, so much discomfort. The mother is crying, the baby is crying, there's blood, there's a mess. Sometimes there's even poop, right? So think about that metaphor. I'm talking about the actual poop that can come out during the birth of a baby because of the pressure, but also think about it how so much of what we're seeing in the world right now is so much that's coming up that it's toxicity, right? It's the world's caca. It's humanity's toxicity coming really on our faces for us to really see and to heal, right? So something here is being pushed into existence. And I think that's very much the energy that we're in now. So as we're having new cycles beginning, we will also continue to witness the massiness of emergence, which means systems breaking down, identities shifting, old things, old forms dissolving, leadership, right? So something new can take their place that can really usher that new cycle, that new beginning. So in our personal lives, this shows up as it could be many ways. It depends on your current context, right? But for some people, this might be about relationships. This might be, getting married or getting divorced. It could be very much about love and intimacy. It could also be about career, purpose, changing professions, starting a new job, starting a new business, changing to a new home. This could be very much about family or some sort of a relocation. But at a deeper level, there's a new identity within each of us that is being born. So this could be something very big. This could be something very subtle. But regardless, the theme is there's a shift in identity. We just finished the Chinese Year of the Snake, right? And the China oh, I'm gonna go back to that. So the Chinese Year of the Snake is all about shedding layers and shedding our skin. And we're now entering the year of the fire horse, right? The Chinese Year of the Fire Horse, which happened right at the day of the solar eclipse back in February. So think about the shedding that, during the year of the snake, we're shedding. And now it's about finding that authentic truth of who we truly are. It's like we've been peeled, even at a cellular level. And the fire horse is about authenticity. Authenticity here is key. And there can be a lot of deeper awarenesses of all the things that are not working anymore or simply are not satisfying you anymore. So maybe it's, I don't want to be in this job anymore. I don't want to be single anymore. I don't want to be married to this person anymore. Something about the current life that you're ready to release, and there's a readiness for something new. And that readiness for something new can also be paired with uncertainty about how it will take shape. And that's exactly what new cycles feel like. It's not always pretty and exciting. There's also a lot of uncertainty and sometimes fogginess. And the other shift here that I want to mention to you is that a shift that is happening, a major theme in 2026 is elemental. In astrology, we work with the four elements, right? We work with fire, air, earth, and water. Over the past few years, our sky, the majority of these planets that are far away from us, they have been in earth and water signs. Earth and water, this combination is very much about grounding. It's about emotional processing, building, caution, consolidation, building our foundations or working on our foundations. So, earth and water are a lot more cautious, a lot more careful, and a lot more conservative about everything, about resources, about our time, about our energy, about our money. And earth and water move slowly. The rhythm is a lot slower. And then in 2026, this energy is shifting strongly. Our sky is shifting strongly into fire and air. So from earth and water to fire and air. And fire and air is all about movement. Fire and air is all about inspiration, creativity, courage, taking risks, expanding, and rewriting our stories. So this is where people can, take bold actions, quit their jobs, start a business, move to a different country, change identities, right? And take emotional and financial risks. So the invitation for this year is very much to take chances. It's very much to go on the adventure, to take a leap of faith, to trust your intuition, trust your gut, trust your instincts. Some of these choices will be voluntary, they're going to be up to you. Other choices, other situations or experiences might be life bringing you those experiences and giving you no choice at all, where you have to. For example, if you lose your job, it's not a matter of wanting to stay in this job or not. It's a matter of now I have to find a new job. But know that even if it's something that feels negative, even if it's something that feels uncomfortable, it's part of this rewriting your story. It's part of this reinvention. I keep, one word that I think is really important this year that I'm really carrying with me during this year, and I want to offer this to you as well, is 2026 as the year of self-authorship. Who do I want to be? I don't have to have it all figured out. That's okay. But it's beginning to be in that conversation with yourself and then taking action. Because when we have a strong fire sky like this, we must take action. It's not enough to just think about it or dream or even create a plan. We must take action forward. The direction of this year is forward. It is a year to expand. It is a year to push our own boundaries and even not compromise in our vision. There's something about this year that can feel quite selfish. And I want to really explain what I mean by this word, because I'm really talking about the positive, healthy expression of this word. Because I don't mean selfishness in a shallow way or egocentric way, or, that place that I believe that I am more important than you or my vision is better than yours. It's not in that way. What I mean by selfishness is this deeper understanding, first of all, connection with yourself, and a deeper understanding that your calling matters not just for yourself, but for life itself. So whatever you are meant to be creating, maybe you're already in the process of, maybe you already have that project, maybe you're already taking action towards rewriting your story, shifting identities. But whatever is happening in your life, it's not random. And it's also about connecting with your heart, connecting with what moves you, what inspires you, what motivates you, and what makes your heart happy. It can sound so cliche, but think about the times when you feel really happy. When you're doing something or you're in relationship to something that just makes you feel so full and joyful and inspired. And from that place, you just naturally give to back to life, that inspiration, that motivation, your creation. So it's that fulfillment that is not indulgent, but that fulfillment that really allows each one of us to give back from a place of fullness, to give back to others, give back to life, give back to our families, our work, our colleagues, etc., our relationships. So it's a year to reconnect with our own inner fire, especially when we get to June, where Jupiter enters the sign of Leo, and Leo is all about the heart-centered space and leadership with heart. So again, when we feel connected with our hearts, when we are happy, when there's joy, when there's meaning, when there's fulfillment, when there's purpose, we naturally give back. There's a natural sense of generosity that comes with that. It's when our cups are so full, they just they just fill other cups, right? Naturally, organically. So I want to go back to the fire horse that I was talking about a little bit ago. You know that this is the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology, and that's not my expertise, so I'm not going to talk too much about what that means in Chinese astrology. But the reason why I wanted to bring this is because of the image of the fire horse, which goes, it's such a beautiful um, reflection of these themes that I've been talking about. So imagine that for a moment, this fire horse galloping freely through the open land, fast and wild and powerful and unstoppable and so authentic. So that's the spirit of 2026. So this is the year to actualize your creative purposes. It's about networking, it's about socializing, connecting, and stepping into visibility, right? So I go back here to that word, self-authorship, and even a year of sovereignty, a year of claiming your new identity and saying, this is my life, and this is how I'm choosing to live it. The fire and air, the sky full of fire and air gives us a lot of momentum, a lot of creativity, a lot of passion and courage. And it doesn't say there won't be limitations, there won't be blocks or fears or insecurities, but it gives us, that's something we can tune in to being courageous, you know, moving forward, even if there's fear and anxiety and doubts. Fire brings excitement, fire brings courage, fire brings passion and movement. And the air, remember that the majority of these faraway planets are going to be in fire and air. And air feeds the fire. It expands, right, through ideas, through communication, through vision, through people, connection. So this combination is very creative and it's very entrepreneurial. It's very bold, visionary. It's amazing, but it needs to be also handled consciously. So this is another really important thing I want to mention to you today. With any astrological configuration, there is a spectrum of possibilities of how that energy is going to actualize itself. We're going to have the high expression and the low expression, and so much in between. So, what we need to be careful of when we have such a strong fire and air um, abundance is that the risks here are very much about excess. For example, overextending ourselves, overspending. Remember, I spoke about earth and water being a lot more cautious, a lot more conservative. Fire and air, it's much easier to say yes to too much, overspend, overgive, move too fast. It's too fast, too furious, and burn bridges along the way, and even run over people, even unintentionally, not from a place of wanting to create harm or damage, but because you might be in your too fast, too furious movement and in the midst of it, run over people. This is about money and resources as well, but this is also about your time. This is about your energy, your fuel, and your nervous system capacity because this can easily be go, go, go energy that can be intoxicating and even very exciting, especially if you're working on something that is very meaningful to you, that you're feeling really joyful about. So the go, go, go energy can be quite intoxicating. The inspiration, right? The motivation. But this could also, without the proper grounding, the proper care, can lead to burnout. So 2026 can also bring rebellion, aggression, a lot of impulsive decisions, and a lot of over expansion without the proper integration, without the foundational work. So we need to be extra careful of how we are riding this fire horse, how we are riding this fire without getting burned, burning ourselves or burning others. Think about the element of fire, how it can burn an entire city, right? So one of the medicines, the antidote here is to balance the masculine and the feminine energies. If we go back to the elements, fire and air are traditionally associated with masculine principles, and earth and water are connected with the feminine principles. And when I'm speaking about feminine and masculine, I am not talking about gender, I'm not talking about women and men. I'm talking about energetic qualities. Masculine energy, so fire and air, they're very much about action, initiative, direction, risk, creation, networking, doing, socializing. Feminine energy, which is earth and water, is a lot more about receiving. It's about processing. It's about feeling, integration, stillness, and also embodiment. So our sky in 2026 is very masculine, it's very young, it's very active, it's very outward. So our work becomes to bring conscious balance to this. So if our sky is very masculine, if it's very young, we need to bring the wing, we need to bring the feminine. So how do we do this? How do we bring back earth and water? So one of my very strong suggestions for you in 2026 is to consciously bring earth and water into your daily lives. So this is very much about nervous system regulation. This is very much about physical movement, sweating, yoga, Pilates, walking, being in your body, including body work, massage, reflexology, and also hugs, physical human touch, sex, anything that brings the attention to the body, to the physical, nature, walking barefoot, connecting with the earth, gardening if you like that, or working with plants, working with trees, cooking, working with food, engaging your senses. And also, it's really important to structure your life. What does that mean? Get the 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Have time to have your meals. Make sure you don't skip meals. Make sure you have nourishing foods. Take really good care of your body. That's all about earth. Earth is about our bodies, the function of our bodies, our health. So now there's barely any earth in our sky, so we need to do the extra work consciously. Eat nourishing food, organic foods, a lot of plants, and good sources of protein. And manual labor is also great, building, working with your hands, and also practices that can help to quiet the mind and really regulate your nervous system. For example, meditation, moments of silence, stillness, sleeping is so important, good quality sleep. Um, Also hydration, think about a sky full of fire. Fire burns, fire is hot, right? There's heat. So we need to make sure we're well hydrated this year more than ever. So these practices seem very, very simple, but to me, they are not optional extras in 2026. They are essential. They are part of how we nourish our well-being and get our bodies strong and um, our minds and nervous system balanced in order to ride the wave forward, to ride momentum, to create, to take action, to take chances, to take a leap of faith. So these practices to me are essential because you'll notice the rhythm will continue to move up and things are going to get faster and faster and faster. So take good care of your nervous system. That is so, so, so important. So to wrap things up, 2026 is bold, it's exciting, it's chaotic, it's catalytic, it's intense, it's full of possibility. Think about that baby being born. It's full of possibility. And I believe we're really seeing that old gasp of the old paradigm really grabbing, trying to hold on to staying in place, to not being, to remain in power. And we're seeing that old gasp of an old world as something new is being born. Even if we don't have that capacity to see it yet, trust that it's being born because the sky is really giving us this message. So the real master of this year is not speed, it's about conscious movement forward. So I hope this information is helpful in your life. If it resonates, please share with others who could benefit from it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. It really helps to support my work. And I'm wishing you a beautiful, expansive, and aligned 2026, full of courage and authenticity and new beginnings. And thank you so much for being here. And I will see you hopefully soon in the next video.